Hello, I'm Bernie Norcott-Mahany. I work at the Blueford branch of the Kansas City Public Library. April is National Poetry Month. For April of 2025, I am reading selections from River Anthology by Edgar Lee Masters. This collection was published in 1915 and is ostensibly the thoughts of the dead of Spoon River who are buried on the hill, which is the cemetery. And we're supposed to, I think, imagine ourselves walking through the cemetery as Masters himself walked through the cemeteries of his hometown, or the town he lived in, Lewistown, Illinois, and some neighboring towns, looking at graves. And actually some of the names come from those actual places to make this fictional graveyard. But we're walking through it, we see a name, and then the person who owned that name while living speaks to us. Johnnie, Sayre. Father, thou canst never know the anguish that smote my heart. For my disobedience, the moment I felt the remorseless wheel of the engine sink into the crying flesh of my leg. As they carried me to the home of the widow Morris, I could see the schoolhouse in the valley to which I played truant to steal rides upon the trains. I prayed to live until I could ask your forgiveness, and then your tears, your broken words of comfort. From the solace of that hour, I have gained infinite happiness. Thou wert wise to chisel for me, taken from the evil to come. So here we have a young man who died as a kid. He was a kid who liked to play hooky, and he got basically run over by a car. His leg was crushed. It sounds like he must have died from this, but he also sounds like he did have time to apologize to his dad, and for his dad then to weep for him. So there was some reconciliation, at least, between the two. Charlie French. Did you ever find out which one of the O'Brien boys it was who snapped a toy pistol against my hand? There, when the flags were red and white in the breeze, and Bucky Estill was firing the cannon brought to Spoon River from Vicksburg by Captain Harris, and the lemonade stands were running and band was playing, to have it all spoiled by a piece of a cap shot under the skin of my hand, and the boys all crowding about me saying, "You'll die of lockjaw, Charlie, sure." Oh dear, what chum of mine could have done it? So here, of sort of almost ludicrous death, a kid who was, someone shot a cap pistol against his hand, some part of the cap actually, I guess, must have burned his palm, and infection set in and he died. So, like the other one, a child's death, and in both cases sort of unnecessary, but this, almost to the point of being ludicrous. Zenas, Witt. I was 16, and I had the most terrible dreams, and specks before my eyes and nervous weakness, and I couldn't remember the books I read, like Frank Drummer, who memorized page after page, and my back was weak, and I worried, and I was embarrassed and stammered my lessons, and when I stood up to recite, I'd forget everything that I had studied. Well, I saw Dr. Weiss's advertisement, and there I read everything in print, just as if he had known me, and about the dreams which I couldn't help. So I know I was marked for an early grave, and I worried until I had a cough, and then the dreams stopped, and then I slept the sleep without dreams, here on the hill by the river. And so here's a young man who, like a lot of young people, isn't sure, that he can basically do the life of living, right? He's not able to memorize stuff like Frank Drummer, and sort of wishes it were otherwise. He had dreams but then, eventually he developed maybe tuberculosis, maybe influenza, or something like that, and died. And so, again, a young person who dies, far beyond far too soon.